All right, update on the 96 Dodge Cummins Hydroboost conversion. I decided when I was doing this job, you can see I've already moved the new power steering pump over. I had opted to separate here instead of taking the gear out of the gear train, but it turns out I'm glad I decided to separate it here, because when I did, you can see what I found. As soon as I separated it, this other tooth fell right out and down into my waste oil bucket. So I think that was just riding in there that whole time, just loose. And just by the way, it feels a little rounded. I think that had been broken for some time on there. Certainly nothing that happened when I was taking it out. And you can, I don't know if the video does it justice, but there is a lot of wear. And this truck's got 330,000 miles on it, and as far as I know, this is original. There's a lot of wear on this ear, and this one is broken off. So I think I may have avoided a future problem down the road here. And well, used ones of these are fairly expensive, and I don't know how many miles are on them or what I'm getting, so we are going to go with the Amazon Chinesium and take our chances with that and see what we get. Hopefully this pump lasts. I didn't get the cheapest one I found, but I got one that seems like the people who have gotten it, at least this particular brand, didn't seem to be complaining about it too much. A lot of them I hear a lot of complaints that these are leaking oil right out of the box, and I don't know whether people are complaining about the seal up front or whether they are complaining about the seal in the middle. This does come with a seal on it. It's rubber. The original is metal. I'm going to keep my metal seal. If this leaks, the first thing I'll do is take it off and I'll put the metal one on it and see what happens, or just order a new one. But we're gonna go ahead and put that on. I have to move over the oil feed fitting, and I think that's the only thing I have to do, and then just move the power steering pump over, and then we'll go ahead and install this. All right, I mentioned I got the power steering lines with that Hydroboost that I got. So the original power steering line is still on, and that went just directly to the pump. So I'm going to take that line off and replace it with this line. And I'm going to assume it's another 18 mil fitting. The lines can only go one way on the pump, so the way the fittings are, so that's kind of a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and do this while I have everything out of the way, as much out of the way as I can. Right now I haven't put the gear pump and the vacuum pump or anything back in, so I've got as much room as I'm going to get. Taking this air horn off sure made things a lot easier once you're in here. I think I don't know whether people say to do that or not, but it sure made my life a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and swap this line out. Should be just 18 mil. It was 18 mil on that one. Hopefully it's 18 mil on the old one. So let me just unscrew that and put the new one on. Okay, after spending 10 minutes on what seemed like it should have been an easy job to just take off that old power steering hose and replace it, I got it loose, but I can't get enough angle on it to actually take it off. And what I'm finding is you have to take the return fitting out to get enough angle to get that power steering line off. I don't know why they would have engineered it like that, but they did. So if there's some way to get that off without taking off the fitting, I don't really know what it is. Seems like the easiest thing to do is just take the return fitting out, and then I have a better angle at the nut. I got it loose, but I can't quite turn it by hand, and I can't get any more throw on the wrench. So I'm going to have to take this fitting out. Okay. All right, there must be a very slight engineering difference between a 96 and a 2001 on the power steering pumps. This is the 2001 that I'm trying to put on, and I can't get it by the return line, and this is the 96. That goes in the same spot, and you can tell that this one's got a bend to the outside here, and this one's straight. So I'm not going to be able to get this in unless I put that same. I've got to put that same bend in it. So I'm going to get the pipe bender, and we're gonna bend this one to match that one, and then I'm sure I'll be fine. The fitting is right. So I'm gonna. Like I said, the power steering box must be just slightly different between those years. All right, turns out you could put that hose on without bending it. I got it on. I'm not crazy about how tight that is up against the return fitting. It does run right next to it. I don't really like it being that tight to it, but it's not really hammering it or anything, but I did get it in there. I'd feel better if that was a millimeter or two away from it, but I don't think it's going to do it. I don't think it's going to vibrate or anything there, so probably last my lifetime. So I'm going to leave that the way it is. If it ever leaks, well, I know exactly what happened. So let's carry on. Next, let's put the pump back in and continue to assemble. All right, not a lot of drama. Just kind of slid right in without too much fuss, and put the two 15 mil bolts in. I did kind of have to go in and out a little bit just to make sure that the gasket stayed lined up on the bolts. But other than that, it really wasn't too much drama to that. So next challenge will be to put on this bracket that goes behind it. Believe it or not, that bracket's what was holding me up from getting this off in the first place. But on top of that, it was really what led to me splitting the pump at the adapter in the first place. It was because I didn't realize that bracket was there, and it turned out to be a good thing since I showed you earlier that broken tooth. So, new vacuum pump, new adapter, new pump. My goodness, it's a new engine. So hopefully all this stuff works. Again, it's aftermarket stuff, so I always kind of worry. But we're gonna press on. All right. So following up from last evening. New vacuum pump and power steering pump are all in. One of the two new used power steering lines is in. I've gone ahead and put the Hydroboost unit in. Just goes through the 4 holes, and then you hook up your brake pedal. Pretty straightforward. I went ahead and I've taken off the master cylinder, and now it's going to be off to the parts store to do some adapting. So let's get back in here and see what we got. So I've got my brand new master cylinder. I got the 2 nubs, 2 fittings actually from the old master cylinder. They just cut the lines off at the junkyard. So what I need to do is adapt these 2 fittings to these 2 fittings. These are, I believe, 3/8 standard, and these are metric. So I'm going to go off and we're going to get adapters, plus I'm going to get some line, some brake line, and I'm going to turn these into these will be turned into my bench bleed. So I'll put 2 new lines in there that are long enough to reach from here all the way back up around into the tank, and then I'll bench bleed this and then take these back out and put my regular lines on. So that'll be for my bench bleed. I'm also going to get, you don't need the full vacuum that went back up to the booster can anymore. So I pulled off the piece that went from the vacuum up to can, and I'm going to cap this off and seal it. And you only need the main vacuum for HVAC and everything else on the Dodge. So we're off to the parts store. Hopefully I get all the things I need in one trip and not 10.